Good afternoon, students. Today's session is for GNM Nursing first year students. The topic is ovaries and the testes. So, in this session, we will have a brief introduction about the ovaries and the testes because you already learned about them in the reproductive system unit. So, basically, we will focus on the endocrine function of the ovaries and the testes in this session. So, what are ovaries? Ovaries. An ovary is an organ of the female reproductive system. As you all know, these are paired female gonads. Gonads means those organs which are producing the either oocytes or the sperms, that is gametes. So, female gonads are the ovaries. Then they have a size and the shape of like almond. Now, histologically, each ovary consists of following parts. Histologically means microanatomy of the ovarian cells and the tissues. So, there are germinal epithelium, then tunica albuginea, ovarian cortex, ovarian medulla, and the ovarian follicles, and mature follicle and the corpus luteum. So, what is germinal epithelium? In this image, you can see the outer layer germinal epithelium. It is made up of simple epithelium known as germinal epithelium. Then the ovary is divided into two parts, ovarian cortex and the medulla. The cortex has the ovarian follicles, and as you can see here, there is the follicles which are at different developmental stage like primordial follicle, primary follicle, secondary follicle, and the mature follicle. Then in the medulla there are lymph vessels, then blood vessels and the nerves, then corpus luteum and corpus albicans. We will discuss about them. Germinal epithelium, it is a layer of simple epithelium and it covers the surface of the ovary. Then tunica albuginea, it is a white capsule connective tissue and it is present deep to the germinal epithelium. Next to the germinal epithelium is the tunica albuginea. Then cortex, as I told you earlier, it consists of ovarian follicles. Then next to the ovarian cortex is the ovarian medulla and it contains blood vessels, lymphatic vessels and the nerves. Then mature Graafican follicle. It is a large fluid-filled follicle and it ruptures and then expel out the secondary oocyte. Then the remaining portion is called the corpus luteum and it produces hormones. These are estrogen, progesterone, relaxin and the inhibin. And then this corpus luteum degenerate into the fibrous scar tissue known as corpus albicans, that is white body, and corpus luteum is the yellow body. So the hormones, ovarian hormones, these are produced by the corpus luteum. What are these hormones? These are estrogen, progesterone, relaxin and the inhibin. Now, what is the principal action of the estrogen and the progesterone? First, regulating the female reproductive cycle. So, as you all know, during the reproductive years, those females who are non-pregnant, they will have a cyclic changes in the ovaries and the uterus, and it takes about a month. So, there will be also changes in the breast and the cervix also, and there will be hormonal changes also which are regulating the cycle. So, all these constitute the female reproductive cycle. So, which are the hormones which are regulating this cycle? These are none other than estrogen and the progesterone. Then they regulate the oogenesis. Oogenesis means it is the formation of gametes in the ovaries. Then maintenance of pregnancy. Then preparing the mammary glands for the lactation. Then promote the development and the maintenance of the female secondary characteristics. So what are these female secondary characteristics? These are fat deposition in the breast and the hips, then development of the breast, then pelvis broadening, and then the growth of the axillary hair and the pubic hair. So we discuss about the estrogen and the progesterone principal action. Next, what is the action of relaxin? Relaxin, it increases flexibility of pubic symphysis during pregnancy. It also dilates the cervix during labor and the delivery. So, relaxin hormone is useful during labor, delivery and the pregnancy. So, what is labor? Labor means a process during which the fetus and the placenta are expelled outside the uterus into the outside world. So relaxin, what is its action? During pregnancy, during labor, and during delivery, it will increases the flexibility of the symphysis pubis, and it also dilate the cervix so that the fetus can be expelled out easily and there will be no injury to the reproductive system or reproductive part of the pregnant woman. Now, what is the principal action of inhibin? As the name is suggesting, it inhibit the secretion of FSH from the anterior pituitary. So we discussed about estrogen, progesterone, relaxin and the inhibin. Now testes. Testes, they are also known as testicles. These are paired oval glands and these are present in the scrotum. They have a 5 centimeter length and they are 2.5 centimeter in diameter, and each testis has a mass of 10 to 15 gram. Now what happens when the fetus is in the mother's womb? So during the 7 month of fetal development, the testes will descend into the scrotum. First they will be developed near the kidneys, okay, in the posterior portion of the abdomen. They will be developed there. Then when there will be 7 months of pregnancy, they will descend into the scrotum, from kidney to the scrotum. Now this is the image showing the outside layer is the tunica vaginalis, then tunica albuginea, then we have septums, then there are various lobules, and within the lobules we have seminiferous tubules. So we will discuss about the tunica vaginalis. It covers the testes. Then internal to the tunica vaginalis is a white fibrous capsule which is composed of the connective tissue, that is tunica albuginea. In the ovaries also there was tunica albuginea. It was also white capsule connective tissue. Similarly here the testes are also having tunica albuginea. Then the tunica albuginea extend and it will form the septa. I already show you the image in that there was septa, and these septa divide them into the lobules, and each of the 2 to 300 lobules contain 1 or 3 coiled tubules. These tubules are known as seminiferous tubules. Now seminiferous tubules have two types of cells. First is spermatogenic cells and second is Sertoli cells. Now spermatogenic cell mean sperm forming cells, and second Sertoli cells has a function of secreting the hormone inhibin. So one of the hormone which is produced by testes is inhibin and it is secreted by the Sertoli cells. Then seminiferous tubules adjacent areas has some spaces and there are Leydig cells. These are also interstitial cells, and what is their function? They will secrete the testosterone. So Sertoli cells secrete the inhibin and the Leydig cells secrete the testosterone. So there are two testicular hormones, testosterone and the inhibin. So let's find out what is the function of the testosterone. First, it stimulates the descent of the testes before birth. As I told you, the testes are developed near the kidneys and they will descend into the scrotum. How this happens? Because of the action of the testosterone. Then regulate the spermatogenesis, formation of sperms. Then testosterone also promote the development and the maintenance of the male secondary sex characteristics. These include, for example, increased larynx size and then deepening of the voice, then muscular development, then growth of the facial, axillary and the pubic area, and the increased growth of the body hair like in the chest area. Now inhibin. In the ovaries also the function of the inhibin was to inhibit the secretion of FSH from the anterior pituitary. Similarly here it also has the same function. The secretion of inhibit the secretion of FSH from the anterior pituitary. So we discuss about the hormones from the ovaries. We have 4 hormones: estrogen, progesterone, relaxin and the inhibin. Relaxin is the hormone which only works during pregnancy, labor and the delivery, and inhibin in both the cases has same function. They will inhibit the follicle stimulating hormone secretion. Now we will learn about hypothalamus, pituitary and gonadal axis. So this is a male gonadal axis. In this diagram you can see hypothalamus. Okay, hypothalamus secretes the gonadotrophin releasing hormone. Then it will travel down to the anterior pituitary gland. Then it will travel down to the anterior pituitary gland, and then it will bind on the receptors which are present on the gland. Now when they bind, it will stimulate the release of LH and the FSH. These are the two hormones which will be released. Their name is luteinizing hormone and the follicle stimulating hormone. Now the luteinizing hormone will stimulate Leydig cells. So I told you already, Leydig cells are present in the testes. So Leydig cells will produce the testosterone. But follicle stimulating hormone, they will stimulate Sertoli cells. And what is the function of Sertoli cells? I told you earlier, it is a stimulate the release of inhibin. And other function of the Sertoli cells is to release the ABG. ABG is the androgen binding protein. So what is ABG? It is a protein which binds to the testosterone, and then it prevent it from leaving the seminiferous tubules. It means it will be remaining there. So the testosterone will be in the seminiferous tubules. So this is the hypothalamus pituitary gonadal axis. You can see how the hypothalamus releases gonadotrophin releasing hormone, then anterior pituitary will be stimulated, then it will release the luteinizing hormone and the follicle stimulating hormone. Then luteinizing hormone will stimulate Leydig cells to release the testosterone. Then FSH will stimulate the Sertoli cells to release the inhibin. Now if there is an increased amount of testosterone and the inhibin, so it will have a negative feedback effect on the pituitary and the hypothalamus. It means it will send signal to the pituitary gland or the hypothalamus. So ultimately when the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland will have a negative effect, then there will be decreased production of gonadotrophin releasing hormone, luteinizing hormone and the FSH hormone, and in this way the testosterone and the inhibin will be reduced. Next is the female gonadal axis. Similarly here the hypothalamus secretes the gonadotrophin releasing hormone. Then the gonadotrophin releasing hormone will travel down to the anterior pituitary gland. Then it will bind to the receptors, and then there will be the release of the luteinizing hormone and the follicle stimulating hormone. Now this luteinizing hormone and the follicle stimulating hormone will bind to the ovaries, and they will secrete the production of estrogen and the inhibin. So what is the, if there is the estrogen and the inhibin are increased, this will have a negative effect, feedback effect. So ultimately there will be decreased levels of gonadotrophin releasing hormone, decreased levels of LH and the FSH. So in this way the hypothalamus regulate the pituitary gland, and the pituitary gland then regulate the ovaries to regulate the function of the estrogen and the inhibin. So in today's session we discussed briefly about the anatomical features of the ovaries and the sperms. Then what are the hormones which are secreted by the ovaries and the testes. Then how the hypothalamus pituitary gonadal axis works. Thank you.